Worried about bonds in an inflationary environment? Well, don't. There's really nothing you can do about it. But I want to go into this because I've done a video on this before, and I'm going to do it again, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. I get emails all the time. Josh, I'm worried about bonds. Why should I go in Wellington or Wellesley given the inflation? The bonds will get killed, blah, blah, blah. And I say, and I don't have enough time to respond to all these emails. I get them all the time. I'll respond to my clients' emails because they paid me. I don't respond to other emails, generally speaking, because I love getting emails, and I save them. I'll show you. I save them in my Q&A. I got a Q&A thing right here with all the questions I save, and I get to them eventually. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, but ultimately I'll get to them. So I keep this rolling Q&A of questions I get. But anyway, I get questions all the time. Why should I go in bonds in an inflationary environment? And that's for you to decide. But I say, okay, so what are we going to do instead? Stay in stocks because stocks are a hedge against inflation, are they? We're going to go into cash. Okay, that's it. Real estate, pay down your debt, buy some real estate, cash, stocks, bonds. Please stop the crypto stuff. You can buy crypto. I don't care. I'm not engaging in that. That's not me. So if you're a crypto person, by all means do it. I'm not talking about that here. So, all right, let's go into right here. We're going to go to Fidelity. So I'm using these two long-term bond funds, Fidelity Investment Grade Fund, and then we got the Putnam Fund, which goes back even longer. So Putnam Fund goes back to 1955, 100% bonds. All right, and it's Putnam. And when it says Class A, that means you paid a front-end commission as well. So has higher fees than most funds because it's an actively managed fund. And let's see what the fees are here. The expenses. Where are the expenses? And where are the expenses, right? All right, 1 second. Let's pause real quick. Oh, wait. The expenses, 73 basis points or 0.73%. The yield is net of the expenses as 2.02. It's going to be tough to make much money here for sure, but that doesn't mean you don't buy it. I'm not saying you buy this fund, but let's take a look at Fidelity. So imagine the Fidelity investment grade. That goes back to 1970, I believe. 5-star rating. The current yield is what on this guy? 1.53. All right, lower than the Putnam one, which tells me has less risky bonds in here. It goes back to 1971. Anyways, I'm not saying invest in either of these. These are just the longest bond funds of any significance. The Putnam and then Fidelity. We all know Fidelity. So I'm just curious to see what the holdings are for this fund relative to the Putnam fund. I'd have to think this could be less aggressive. So let's take a look, shall we? We'll first look at. What did I do? Type in holdings. Yeah, holdings. That took a long time. What's wrong with my internet? All right. So we got 9% cash, 89% in bonds. All right. Duration is only 5.88, so mostly intermediate bonds right there. Look, very high rated, AAA, very highly rated bonds. Okay, there you go. So because they're such highly rated bonds, AAA rated, it's not going to be great on the yield. That's a fact. So let's look at the Putnam. I imagine it's got to be a lot more corporate bonds and lower rated bonds, lower credit quality for sure. Let's take a gander, and the duration is probably higher too. Did I go to holdings? Yeah, holdings. Okay, cool. There we go. It's taking a long time to move here. Yeah, look at that. Well, no, duration about the same. Is this Fidelity or is this the Putnam? That's Putnam. All right, so duration is about the same. Well, still 51% government bond. And then they got a bunch of junk bonds here. Triple B's junk, or they're investment grade. I don't think they're quite junk, but so a lot of triple B's. About a quarter of the portfolios, I think triple B is still investment grade, but it's the lowest on investment grade, if memory serves. We go down here. Yeah, so that's interesting. Pretty similar in terms of the holdings. Yeah, I don't know why they yield so much different. That's are they leveraged? This is Fidelity. They got 10% cash too. Huh. I wonder if they're leveraged. You'd have to look at short. I could look at short. I just don't feel like doing that because I'm not here to compare these two funds, but they're similar to funds. All right, so Let's go down to what I want to do is go to the bucket using Dan Kuhlebert's bucket strategy website or spreadsheets, 55e.co, not com, 55e.co, 55elephants.co, and you can get this spreadsheet here yourself. Some of them are free, actually. So what we're going to do is going to put 100,000 bucks into Putnam. We'll put 100,000 bucks into U.S. Treasuries. 1 month U.S. Treasuries, all right? That's a cash equivalent. And we're going to put $100,000 in the S&P 500, all right? And then what we're going to do, we're not taking any money out. We're just going to put 100,000 bucks in each. And then we got inflation, and we're going to see what happens after 10 years of time, because the 70s was the only major time we've had inflation, just the 70s. I'm just telling you, there's no other history of the United States other than a couple years after a war that we have had any kind of significant inflation. This is it. When I say significant, I mean more than like a 3%. So you can see inflation 5.74 went down, then 6, 11, 9, 8, or 6, 7, 8, 11. You see what I'm saying? So going all the way up to 1982, right there, 1981, and you can see inflation was just through the roof. Now we look at the 10-year, the 1 month Treasury bills, federal fund rates. 6.5, 4.4, so as inflation was going down, the Fed funds rates were going down as well, or at least the 1 month Treasury bills. But then it went from 3.8 to 6.9 to 8 to 5.8 to 5.1, 7.2, 10, 11, 14. All right, so that's interest rates increasing. Does everybody agree with this? Yes, they do, because that's, I mean, what more do you need to see? Inflation is going up, interest rates are going up, because they thought they could whip inflation now by raising rates. Well, they were raising here, didn't whip inflation now. This is under Nixon's freaking tenure. 74, what's his name? Ford was talking about whipping inflation now. It didn't work there. Inflation is still 9.1. They were raising rates here. And from, 5.8 to 13 in 1980, they went from 5.1 to 11.2 to 14.7 on the short-term rates. And that whipped inflation. Well, why did it whip inflation before? It didn't. Anyway, the point being is what you'll see here is we got the bond. This is the Putnam Income Fund. It had 1, 2, 3, 4 down years. That's it. That's it. 4 down years. All right. And at the end of 1981, it was worth $196,000. All right. The short-term cash was worth $235. And the S&P 500 was worth 220. I mean, so at the end of those, 12 years of time during the highest inflation we've ever seen, the bond fund actually doubled the money. The cash actually did better than doubling in money. And the S&P 500 did better than doubling money too. Not great returns, and we'll do it net of inflation. So basically, let me just pause real quick. In this case, the inflation was $100,000. You would have needed to have $246,000 to have kept up with inflation, and you didn't get that in bonds, you didn't get it in cash, and you didn't get it in stocks. That's why I'm using Treasury bills just as FYI to replicate cash. None of them did, and I can assure you, you did not get that in real estate either. In fact, hold on, I think I got a table on real estate, a spreadsheet here. But anyway. Now remember though, you did have to pay tax on this 196. So you made $96,000 of income. It's all taxable to you as ordinary income. You did have to pay tax on this, and I can't remember what the long-term capital gains was. I just don't recall. But if you were to sold, you had to pay tax. So net of taxes and inflation, not only did you lose to inflation, but you lost pretty significantly on all three things: stocks, bonds, and cash. But you didn't get smoked, and that's the point being here. Is this is the worst. It was that 12-year time frame in history in terms of inflation, and yet your bonds, while they didn't keep up with it, you're still 250 roughly is what you needed to have in inflation numbers, and you're at let's say 170, if even that. So you're down. You're down. Don't get me wrong, but so cash was down and stocks were down too. So there's not much you can have really done about that. Now, if we look at the Wellington Fund, instead of the S&P 500, we'll go to Wellington and see what that did. Vanguard Wellington right there. All right, so Wellington, now remember, we needed 246 to have kept up with inflation at 1981, and Wellington gave us 207. All right, so I mean, the best thing you could have done was have cash. All right, but remember, cash isn't paying 6.5 right now. It's not paying 4.4. It's not paying 3.8. I mean, could it? Sure. What is the Fed funds rate right now? Hold on a second. The U.S. Treasuries right now, 1 month cash, which is paying 5 basis points. All right, 30 years are 2.07. So it's tough to. Where's a bucket right there? Remember, we were paying 6.5 in 1 month back then. I mean, it's just look at that. 3 months, 17 bips, 1 year, 58. I mean, just the point being is, it's hard to do much of a comparison to say, hey, if that happened, this will happen. We don't know, but this is the best we got, man. And the best we got says at the end of the day, the bonds they held par, man. I mean, again, relative to taxes, no. Relative to taxes and inflation, no. But actually, what's the other alternative? You're gonna put everything in cash at freaking 5 basis points? That's I don't think you should do that. You can put everything in. I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, inflation kicks in. Your bonds, at least in the past, they didn't get smoked. That's the point. Everyone thinks you're gonna get killed. You didn't. Down 2.4, down 7.5, down 1.9, down 0.02. That's it. If we look at Fidelity, you go to performance, investment grade bond fund, by the way. We'll see in the 1970s, it was down 3.07, and that was it. 3.07. I mean, just not enough to. Oh wait, hold on a second. Do I just have that wrong? No. 1970s. Yeah, 3.07. Just not enough to say, oh my goodness, stay away from bonds, stay away. So, let me just pause real quick. I want to see something if I can find anything on real. I got 8,000 million spreadsheets coming to my ears. I just got to find the one on real estate. So here's a median residential real estate house in the whole U.S. By the way, it's not specific. Just I use the Schiller stuff, which I'll show you here in just a second. 1970, 22,600, and we go to 1981, 66,000. So residential real estate looks like it increased by what's that, 3 times or so. That seems to be a pretty good move there. If you could have gone into residential real estate, you would have. I don't think you would have. Boom. Let's take a look at the Schiller stuff. Hold on just a second. I do got to point out, actually, is interesting before I go, is that here's inflation, and the interest rates are through the roof, and yet the real estate prices they did fine. Well, not fine, but they did okay. If this is true right here, and I just off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think this is true because if we go to the median house price right here, 2020, it's about that. This might be for new sales, though. It might be for new. Anyway, let me look at Schiller stuff. Hold on a second. But real quick, 5.7 inflation, 9.1, 13.5. The interest rates follow suit in terms of high interest rates, and yet the real estate prices kept going up. Isn't that interesting? So let's take a look at the Schiller stuff. Hold on. Go to the homepage of Schiller, and we're at Yale Online Data. This is what we're going to do here. And then we're going to scroll down to data sets on prices of houses. So this is a Case Schiller Index. Carl Case. Now I've collected some data sets on price of houses. Each of 4 cities: Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, and Chicago. Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Oakland. Data sets on the price out. So we're going to click on that. Hold on just a second. I actually downloaded U.S. home prices in 1890 to present because the other was a broken link. So let's bring this up here real quick. We'll pause. It goes back to 1871. He's saying these are the real home prices, and we'll look at this here in just a second. These are the real building costs. This is the population. So here's the baby boomers right there. Here's the baby bus, and here's the youngins right here, the biggest generation since the baby boomers. And here's the interest rates. And it's just weird how the real home price has gone through the roof, even though the interest rates are up. So let's look at the actual data, the data set, and we're gonna look at we're gonna go to 1970s. So this is, let's see what we got here. Real home price. That's net of inflation. So nominal home price. This is what we. Show does it. Let's see, nominal. 1 second. Let me pause real quick. He's doing it in thousands. Okay, I gotcha. So here's a nominal. I can't make this bigger. Here's the real home price net of inflation. We're gonna go to 1970s. And we're going to see, what's this one right here again? The date. It's okay. So he's got in quarters. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. All right. All right. Let's just go down here to 1970s. 70 right here, 1970. So we start at 107 is the that's adjusted for inflation in today's dollars. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, real home price adjusted for inflation, today's dollars. Okay, there you go. And this is the nominal price of what it was back then. So we're going to look, I'm going to show you a couple things. We'll just go from there. All right, so here's 107 is the median home price in the United States adjusted for inflation in today's dollars in 1970. We fast forward until 1981 because the interest rates are going through the roof, and it was right to the end of 1981, right there, 111. So adjusted for inflation, real estate made money. Not much. That's about 3.5%, but it did make money. Now nominal, all right, this is before inflation kicked in. This is just a median home value. It was $48,000 in 1982, and it started in 1970 at, let's see, 1970 it started at 20,000. Let's just make sure that corresponds somewhat to my spreadsheets here. Hold on just a second. I already get rid of that spreadsheet. Q4 of 1970 had 22,600. What's Schiller's showing? Hold on just a second. So here we got Q4 of 1970. Looks like about 20,289,000. All right, well, pretty close. I'm not sure where I got the other number from, but I had done some due diligence before, so I'll go with it as BLS. That's interesting. All right, so be that as it may. So we go forward that the real estate actually did better than stocks, bonds, and cash net of inflation, but it didn't do great. And the way we know is we go down the median home price in constant dollars in 2021 is $215,000. The median home price in inflated dollars is $265, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do, hold on just a second here. So in 265. They're going to BLS. All right, let's take a look at what BLS says. It'll be fun. So the median home price, according to Zillow, is $269. All right, I imagine they're getting that from the BLS too. All right, so there you go. That's pretty much spot on, man. States with the lowest median home prices. Look at Arkansas. Lots of sun in Arkansas. Beautiful beautiful place to live. I gotta get my wife up there to show her because she's like, I'm not moving to Arkansas. But look at Arkansas. It's looking better every day. Too cloudy, sunny, flat though. Anyway, so that's interesting. So West Virginia's median home price is only 107. Check that out. The highest states, of course, are the ones you'd expect. And there's California, 505. Here's Maryland, 314. All right, so let's just wrap this up and put on a bow. The point being is bonds aren't going to kill you, most likely, because they didn't kill us in the 70s. Cash did okay, but again, look where we are right now. You're not making any money, and you're waiting to make money. And stocks will go up and down, as we've talked about 1,000 times. The only other thing would be real estate, man. And real estate may or may not go up as interest rates go up, but real estate did keep up with inflation in the 70s. That is a fact. All right. What are your thoughts? We'll see you